What if Padmé joined the Nascent rebellion? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. She should be dead. The medical droid said she was dying, losing the will to live. Her heart slowing, her lungs failing. Anakin's hand around her throat had done its work. But Padmé Amidala opens her eyes. And in that moment, the entire galaxy changes. Not because she survives, because of what she chooses to do next. The Emperor thinks she is gone. Vader believes he killed his wife and unborn child. The galaxy will mourn Senator Amidala as another victim of the Jedi uprising. Her funeral on Naboo will draw millions of mourners. But the woman in the casket is not Padmé. Padmé is somewhere else entirely, building something dangerous, something that will one day bring the Empire to its knees. She does not choose to hide. She does not choose to grieve in silence. She chooses war. This is the story of how the woman Darth Vader loved became his greatest enemy. How a mother separated from her children forged the weapon that would destroy everything her husband built. How one decision, made in the darkest moment of her life, changed the fate of the galaxy forever. It begins on Polis Massa, in pain, in grief, in fury. The medical droid's voice cuts through the haze of pain and exhaustion. Vitals stabilizing. The patient will survive. Padmé Amidala gasps awake on the cold medical table of Polis Massa, her body racked with the aftermath of childbirth. The sterile lights above her blur and swim as she tries to focus, tries to remember how she got here. Then it all comes flooding back. The Senate, the declaration of the Empire. Anakin's eyes burning yellow on Mustafar, his hand around her throat, the darkness swallowing her whole. She tries to sit up, but gentle hands press her back down. Obi-Wan Kenobi stands beside her, his face haggard and haunted in ways she has never seen before. Behind him, Bail Organa watches with grave concern. And in the arms of a medical droid, two infants cry out into the cold asteroid facility. Her children, her babies, Luke and Leia, Padmé. Obi-Wan's voice is barely above a whisper. You need to rest. You nearly died. But she is already reaching for the twins, her heart aching with a love so fierce it threatens to consume her. The droid brings them closer, and she cradles them against her chest, feeling their tiny heartbeats against her own. They are so small, so fragile, so utterly dependent on her. Anakin. She forces the name out through cracked lips. Where is Anakin? The silence that follows tells her everything. Obi-Wan closes his eyes, and she can see the weight of the galaxy pressing down on his shoulders. When he speaks, each word seems to cost him something precious. Anakin is gone, Padmé. He has become Darth Vader. He serves the Emperor now. He killed the younglings. He would have killed you too if I hadn't intervened. The words hit her like blaster bolts. Each one tears through her chest and leaves her, bleeding internally. Anakin. Her Anakin. The boy she fell in love with on Naboo. The man who held her close and promised her the galaxy. The father of her children. Gone. Twisted into something monstrous by Palpatine's manipulation. She should break. Every fiber of her being screams at her to surrender to the grief, to let it wash over her and drag her down into oblivion. The medical droids had warned that she was losing the will to live, that her body was simply giving up. And why shouldn't it? Everything she fought for is ashes. The republic she dedicated her life to serving has become the very tyranny she opposed. The man she loved has become a monster. The future she dreamed of has been ripped away. But then Luke shifts in her arms. Leia lets out a soft cry, and Padmé looks down at these two perfect beings that she and Anakin created together. These children who carry his blood and hers. These innocent lives who have done nothing wrong and yet will be hunted by the Empire for simply existing. If Palpatine discovers them, he will either kill them or corrupt them, just as he corrupted their father. Something changes in that moment. The grief doesn't disappear. It will never disappear. But it hardens into something else. Something colder and sharper. Something that can be wielded as a weapon. Padmé Amidala looks up at Obi-Wan and Bail, and the two men take an involuntary step back at what they see in her eyes. This is not the look of a woman who has given up. This is the look of a woman who has found something worth fighting for. Then I have to fight. Obi-Wan shakes his head slowly. Padmé, the Empire is too powerful. The Jedi are gone. The Senate has no authority anymore. There is nothing we can do except hide and survive. Hiding is not surviving. It is waiting to die. She sits up fully now, ignoring the protests of her exhausted body. Palpatine won because we let him, because we were too focused on fighting each other to see the real enemy. But he hasn't won yet. Not completely. There are still people out there who believe in the Republic, who will fight for democracy. We just need to give them something to rally around. Bail steps forward, his expression troubled but thoughtful. She is right, Obi-Wan. Mon Mothma and I have already been discussing this. There are senators who oppose the declaration of the Empire, military officers who refused orders to execute Jedi, planetary governments that are only cooperating out of fear. The seeds of resistance are there. They just need to be cultivated. And who better to cultivate them than a former queen and senator who knows exactly how Palpatine thinks? Padmé meets their gazes steadily. I watched him manipulate the Senate for over a decade. I sat in meetings with him. I considered him a friend. I know his methods, his weaknesses, his blind spots. I can use that knowledge against him. Obi-Wan runs a hand through his hair, looking older than she has ever seen him. Padmé, if the Empire discovers you survived, they will hunt you relentlessly. Vader will hunt you. You would be putting yourself in constant danger. I have been in danger before. I fought on Geonosis. I led my people against the Trade Federation when I was barely more than a girl. I am not afraid of danger. It is not just your life at stake. He gestures to the twins. If they find you, they find them. Vader's children, Force-sensitive children. Can you imagine what Palpatine would do if he got his hands on them? That gives her pause. She looks down at Luke and Leia again, at their tiny faces and delicate fingers. The thought of them in Palpatine's grasp fills her with a cold terror that makes everything else seem insignificant. But it also strengthens her resolve. Then we hide them, separately if we must. And I work from the shadows. I become someone else. Padmé Amidala dies on this asteroid, mourned by the galaxy. But someone new rises in her place. Someone without a name or face. Someone who can move freely and build the resistance that will one day bring the Empire down. Bail and Obi-Wan exchange glances. There is a long moment of silence as they consider her words. Finally, Bail nods slowly. It could work. We stage your death here. The galaxy believes you died in childbirth, another victim of the chaos surrounding the fall of the Republic. We hold a funeral on Naboo. Meanwhile, you adopt a new identity and begin reaching out to potential allies. The children would need to be hidden separately. Obi-Wan's voice is heavy with reluctance. Luke should go to Tatooine, to Owen and Beru Lars. Vader believes he killed them on Mustafar. He will never think to look for survivors on his hated homeworld. And Vader will avoid that place at all costs. Too many painful memories. Padmé's heart clenches at the thought of being separated from her son. But she forces herself to think strategically, to push past the maternal instinct that screams at her to keep both children close. Obi-Wan is right. Splitting them up increases their chances of survival. If one is discovered, the other might still escape. And Leia? Bail straightens. My wife and I have long wished for a child. We can adopt her, raise her on Alderaan as our own daughter. And if Padmé is working closely with the rebellion, she can remain nearby. Watch over Leia without anyone knowing the truth. Tears stream down Padmé's face as she looks at her children. This is not how it was supposed to be. She was supposed to raise them with Anakin in their lake house on Naboo. They were supposed to grow up surrounded by love and peace and possibility. Instead, she must tear her family apart to keep them safe. But that is what it means to be a mother. To put their needs before her own desires. To make the hard choices so they don't have to. She presses kisses to both their foreheads, breathing in their scent, memorizing every detail of their faces. Then she hands Luke to Obi-Wan with trembling hands. Take care of him, please, with my life. And Leia. She looks at Bail, clutching her daughter closer. I want to be part of her life. Even if she doesn't know who I really am, I need to watch her grow up. You will. Bail's voice is gentle. I promise. And so Padmé Amidala dies. The news spreads across the galaxy within hours, carried on holonet broadcasts and whispered in cantinas and mourned in the halls of what was once the Galactic Senate. The former Queen of Naboo, the beloved senator who fought so hard for peace, has succumbed to her injuries sustained during the chaos of the Jedi uprising. Her unborn child died with her. The funeral on Naboo draws millions of mourners, and even the newly crowned Emperor Palpatine makes a show of paying his respects, his expression a mask of false grief. Darth Vader does not attend. He stands alone in his meditation chamber on Coruscant, staring at a holographic image of his wife's face. The image flickers and distorts, but he can still see her smile, still hear her laugh echoing in his memory. She is dead because of him, because he was too weak to protect her, too blind to see how his actions would destroy everything he loved. The rage builds inside him, hot and overwhelming, and he lets it fuel his connection to the dark side. Padmé is gone. Their child is gone. All that remains is Vader, servant of the Emperor, enforcer of the New Order. There is nothing left of Anakin Skywalker but ashes and regret. If only he knew the truth. 3 months later, a woman calling herself Verity arrives on Chandrila for a secret meeting with Mon Mothma. She wears a mask that covers half her face, and her voice is modulated to disguise its natural tone. But her posture is that of a queen, and her words carry the weight of someone accustomed to commanding attention. Senator Mothma, thank you for agreeing to see me. Mon Mothma studies her visitor with shrewd eyes. The risk to meet like this is considerable. Imperial intelligence has informants everywhere. But I was told you have information that could help our cause. I have more than information. I have experience, connections, and a plan. Verity takes a seat across from the senator, her movements careful and controlled. I know that you, Bail Organa, and several other senators have been quietly discussing resistance to the Empire. Small acts of defiance, careful words of dissent. But you are afraid to take real action because you do not know whom to trust and you lack the resources to pose any real threat. Mon Mothma's expression does not change, but there is a new wariness in her eyes. You seem remarkably well informed about matters that should be secret. I make it my business to be informed. Verity leans forward. I also know that the Emperor has been consolidating power at an alarming rate. The imperial military is expanding. Construction has begun on weapons projects that dwarf anything seen during the Clone Wars. Within a decade, Palpatine will have the firepower to destroy anyone who opposes him. If we are going to resist, we need to start now. You speak of we. What makes you think I trust you enough to include you in any plans we might have? Because I can offer you something no one else can. I spent years in the Senate watching Palpatine work. I know how he manipulates people, how he identifies threats, how he eliminates opposition before it can coalesce into real resistance. I know his methods intimately, and I can teach you how to avoid his traps. Mon Mothma is silent for a long moment. Then she rises and walks to the window, gazing out at the peaceful cityscape of Chandrila. When she speaks, her voice is soft but intense. I do not know who you really are. Your mask and voice modulator suggest you have something to hide. Normally, that would be reason enough to refuse any alliance. But these are not normal times. No, they are not. She turns back to face Verity. Very well. I will arrange a meeting with Bail Organa and the others. But understand this. Trust must be earned. You will prove yourself through actions, not words. And if I ever suspect you of betraying us to the Empire, I will ensure you regret it. Behind her mask, Padmé allows herself a small smile. This is the beginning. The Nascent Rebellion takes shape over the following months. It is not a formal organization, not yet. It is a network of whispers and shadows, of coded messages and clandestine meetings. Senators who oppose the Emperor quietly share intelligence. Military officers who retain their honor funnel supplies to resistance cells. Planetary governments that chafe under imperial rule offer safe havens for those fleeing persecution. At the center of it all, moving through the shadows like a ghost, is Verity. She travels constantly, never staying in one place for more than a few days. She meets with disaffected officers on Corellia and convinces them to delay orders and misplace shipments. She reaches out to former separatist worlds, reminding them that the enemy of their enemy can become a friend. She forges alliances between groups that would never have cooperated without her intervention. Her methods are not always gentle. On Eriadu, she uncovers evidence that a local governor has been embezzling funds meant for humanitarian relief. When diplomatic pressure fails to remove him, she leaks the evidence to his political rivals and watches as they tear him apart. On Ord Mantell, she discovers that a criminal syndicate has been selling information to Imperial intelligence. She arranges for a competing syndicate to eliminate the problem, leaving no trace of her involvement. On Ryloth, she helps organize a resistance movement among the Twi'lek population. The Empire has been exploiting the planet mercilessly, stripping its resources and enslaving its people. Padmé spends weeks on the surface, training guerrilla fighters and coordinating supply drops. When an Imperial patrol threatens to discover their base, she personally leads a counterattack that leaves no survivors. The Twi'leks call her the Ghost Queen, a name that will follow her for years. On Lothal, she makes contact with a former Separatist commander who has been hiding since the war ended. He initially refuses to help, bitter about how the Republic treated his people. But Padmé reminds him that the Empire has brought even greater suffering. They debate for hours, but eventually she convinces him that their old enmity must be set aside. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," he says, as he finally agrees to provide ships and supplies. She has heard that phrase many times in the years since the Empire rose, and each time she wonders if it is wisdom or desperation. Her network grows. Former clone troopers who refused Order 66. smugglers with axes to grind against imperial customs, politicians who lost family to Palpatine's purges. Each one is a thread in the web she is weaving, a strand that connects to others and gradually creates something strong enough to challenge the Empire. But every thread has a cost. Some of her agents are captured and executed. Others betray her, either through weakness or malice. She learns to trust carefully, to compartmentalize information, to assume that any communication might be intercepted. Paranoia becomes a survival skill. The work is exhausting, dangerous, and morally complicated. Padmé often finds herself wondering if the ends justify the means. But then she thinks of Luke and Leia. She thinks of the galaxy they will inherit if Palpatine is allowed to rule unchecked. And she pushes forward. Between missions, she returns to Alderaan. Ostensibly, she is there to coordinate with Bail Organa. In truth, she is there to see her daughter. Leia Organa grows quickly, transforming from infant to toddler with remarkable speed. She has her mother's dark hair and fierce intelligence, her father's stubbornness and passion. Padmé watches her from a distance, always careful never to get too close, never to reveal the truth. To Leia, she is simply one of her father's many associates, a mysterious woman who sometimes visits and brings small gifts. It is torture. Every time Padmé sees her daughter laugh or cry or take her first stumbling steps, she wants nothing more than to sweep her into her arms and never let go. She wants to tell Leia who she really is, to hear her say mother, to be there for every moment of her life. But she cannot. The risk is too great. If Leia knows the truth, she might accidentally reveal it. Word might spread. Vader might learn that his daughter survived. So Padmé contents herself with stolen moments. A smile from across the room, a brief touch of her daughter's hand, the knowledge that even if Leia does not know her, she is safe and loved. She watches Leia's first words, her first steps, her first day of formal education. She sees her daughter's personality emerge. The quick temper, the sharp wit, the fierce loyalty to her friends. Leia reminds her so much of Anakin sometimes that it hurts to look at her. But she also sees herself in her daughter, the stubborn determination, the refusal to accept injustice, the instinct for politics and diplomacy. When Leia is 8 years old, Padmé witnesses something that both terrifies and awes her. A vase falls from a high shelf, heading straight for Bail Organa's head. Without thinking, Leia throws out her hand, and the vase stops in midair. It hovers there for a moment, then gently settles to the floor. Bail stares at her daughter, wide-eyed. Leia looks at her own hand, as if seeing it for the first time. I did not mean to do that. Her voice is small and scared. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you, sweetheart. Bail recovers quickly, pulling Leia into a hug. You are just very special. Later, Padmé meets with Bail in his private study. They discuss the implications in hushed voices. Leia is Force-sensitive, like her father, like her brother. It is both a gift and a curse. We cannot train her. Padmé's voice is firm. If she develops her powers, Vader might sense her. She needs to suppress them, keep them hidden. Is that fair to her? Bail asks, to deny her such a fundamental part of herself? Fair has nothing to do with it. Survival is what matters. She can explore her potential later, when the Empire has fallen. For now, she must remain hidden. It breaks her heart to make that decision, to condemn her daughter to ignorance about her own nature. But she would do anything to keep Leia safe. Anything. One evening, after a particularly difficult mission, Padmé finds herself alone in a garden on Alderaan. The twin moons hang low in the sky, casting silver light across the flowers and fountains. She sits on a bench and lets the tears flow freely, releasing the grief she keeps locked away during her waking hours. She does not hear Bale approach until he settles onto the bench beside her. "I thought I might find you here." She quickly wipes her eyes, embarrassed at being caught in a moment of weakness. "I apologize. I should be focusing on the mission reports. You should be taking care of yourself." He produces a handkerchief and offers it to her. "You push yourself too hard, Verity. You cannot save the galaxy if you destroy yourself in the process." "I am fine. You are not. And that is understandable." He pauses, choosing his words carefully. "I saw you watching Leia today. I see the way you look at her every time you visit." Padmé freezes, her heart pounding. "What do you mean?" "I mean that I am not blind." He meets her gaze steadily. "I have known from the beginning, Padmé. Obi-Wan told me everything when he entrusted Luke to the Lars family. I know that Leia is your daughter, and I know how much it must hurt to be so close to her, yet so far away." For a long moment, she cannot speak. The secret she has guarded so carefully, the mask she has worn so faithfully, stripped away in a single sentence. But there is no accusation in Bale's eyes. Only compassion. "You never said anything. It was not my place. You chose this path, and I respect your reasons. But I want you to know that Breha and I love Leia as if she were our own. We will always protect her. And when the time is right, when the galaxy is safe enough for the truth, we will help you tell her." She breaks down then, sobbing into his shoulder as months of repressed emotion finally find release. He holds her gently, this kind man who has taken in her daughter and kept her secret, and lets her cry until there are no more tears left. "Thank you." The words feel inadequate, but they are all she has. "Thank you for everything. It is an honor. We are all in this fight together, and we will win it. I truly believe that." She wants to believe it too. But as the years pass and the Empire grows stronger, that belief becomes harder and harder to maintain. 5 years after the fall of the Republic, the Nascent Rebellion suffers its first major defeat. An operation to liberate political prisoners from an Imperial detention facility on Kashyyyk goes catastrophically wrong. The Empire was waiting for them. Dozens of rebel operatives are killed or captured. The Wookiee resistance is crushed, and the holonet fills with images of the survivors being publicly executed as traitors. The operation had been months in the planning. They had bribed guards, mapped patrol routes, positioned extraction ships. Everything should have worked. But someone talked. Someone revealed the plan to Imperial intelligence, and the Empire turned their rescue mission into a slaughter. Padmé receives the news on Corellia, in a dingy safe house above a machine shop. She listens to the report in silence, her face betraying nothing. But inside, she is screaming. 37 operatives dead, 12 captured, including 2 senior commanders who know far too much about the network she has built. The Wookiee resistance cells they were supporting wiped out in a single night. Years of work destroyed. She does not allow herself to grieve. Not yet. Grief is a luxury she cannot afford. Instead, she begins the grim work of damage control, sending coded messages to every cell in her network, ordering them to go dark, to assume they have been compromised, to trust no one until they receive the all-clear. Then she starts hunting. Padmé watches the executions from a safe house on Corellia, her fists clench so tightly that her nails draw blood. She recognizes some of the faces. Men and women she recruited personally. People who trusted her, who believed in the cause she convinced them to fight for. Now they are dead because someone betrayed them. Finding the leak takes weeks of careful investigation. She traces the security breach through a web of coded transmissions and financial records until she finally has a name. Captain Rylon Vex, an Imperial officer who had been feeding the rebellion intelligence for 2 years. Except his intelligence was carefully curated lies, designed to build trust before the ultimate betrayal. She finds him on Coruscant, in a luxury apartment paid for with the blood money the Empire gave him. He is alone when she arrives, relaxed and confident, completely unaware that death has come for him. The apartment is expensive, decorated with artwork that probably came from worlds the Empire conquered. A panoramic window offers a view of the endless cityscape, the same view Padmé used to see from her senatorial residence. The irony is not lost on her. She disables the security system with a device she obtained from a sympathetic slicer. The door opens without a sound. Vex is sitting on a couch, drinking Corellian whiskey and watching the holonet. He does not hear her approach until she speaks. Captain Vex. He spins around, reaching for his blaster, but she is faster. A stun bolt drops him to the ground, and she steps over his twitching body to close the blinds. She takes a moment to survey the apartment, noting the exits, the potential weapons, the security features. Old habits die hard. When he wakes, he is bound to a chair with his own binders. Padmé stands before him, her mask firmly in place, a vibroblade in her hand. She lets him see the blade, lets him understand exactly how much danger he is in. You killed them. 63 people dead because of you. Her voice is flat, emotionless. The rage she feels is too deep for screaming. It burns cold in her chest. He sneers at her, the arrogance of a man who believes he is untouchable. You think this changes anything? The rebellion is finished. The Empire knows your methods, your contacts, your safe houses. There is nowhere left to hide. His voice drips with contempt. I have seen your files. You are children playing at war against a power you cannot possibly comprehend. We have survived everything the Empire has thrown at us. For now. He laughs, though there is nervousness beneath the bravado. But that changes soon. Lord Vader himself has taken an interest in crushing your little resistance. How long do you think you will last against him? The mention of Vader sends a chill through her, but she does not let it show. Instead, she steps closer, letting the blade catch the light. You are right about one thing. She moves closer, letting him see the blade. This changes nothing. The people you betrayed are still dead, but I can make sure you never betray anyone again. His sneer falters. You would not dare. Killing an Imperial officer would bring every stormtrooper on Coruscant down on your head. Yes, it would. She presses the blade against his throat, feeling his pulse racing beneath the metal. Which is why I am not going to kill you. She steps back, and his relief is palpable. But it is short-lived. Instead, I am going to destroy you. By tomorrow morning, evidence of your corruption will be delivered to every major news outlet in the core worlds. Financial records showing bribes you accepted. Communications proving you sold Imperial secrets to criminal organizations. By this time tomorrow, you will be the most wanted man in the Empire. You are bluffing. That evidence does not exist. It does now. She produces a datapad and shows him the fabricated but utterly convincing documents. The Empire does not tolerate traitors any more than we do. And unlike us, they have the resources to hunt you to the ends of the galaxy. The color drains from his face as he realizes the trap he has fallen into. Wait, We can make a deal. I have information, real information this time. I can give you names, locations, everything. I am sure you can. But I do not trust you. And I do not need you. She heads for the door. Good luck, Captain. You are going to need it. She is 3 systems away when the news breaks. Captain Rylon Vex, wanted for treason against the Galactic Empire. A manhunt is launched. Within a week, he is captured. Within a month, he is executed. Padmé watches the footage with grim satisfaction. It is not justice. Justice would be bringing back the people he killed. But it is something. A reminder that betraying the rebellion has consequences. The loss on Kashyyyk forces them to change their methods. They become more careful, more compartmentalized. Individual cells operate independently, sharing only essential information. Recruitment becomes more rigorous. Trust must be earned through years of proven loyalty, not weeks or months. Padmé throws herself into this work with renewed intensity. She travels to the Outer Rim, to worlds so remote that even the Empire's reach is limited. There she finds communities of refugees, survivors of imperial purges, people who have lost everything and have nothing left to lose. She brings them together, trains them, arms them. Slowly, painfully, the rebellion begins to rebuild. But the work takes its toll. Padmé is no longer the bright-eyed queen who dreamed of a better galaxy. She is older now, harder, scarred in ways both visible and invisible. The weight of command sits heavily on her shoulders. Every decision she makes costs lives, whether she acts or not. Sleep becomes a luxury she can rarely afford, and when it comes, it brings nightmares of burning worlds and dying friends. She also cannot escape the shadow of Darth Vader. Intelligence reports filter in regularly, tracking the Emperor's enforcer as he moves through the galaxy. Vader has become Palpatine's iron fist, crushing dissent wherever it appears. He has personally led campaigns against surviving Jedi, hunting them down one by one until only a handful remain. He has suppressed uprisings on a dozen worlds, leaving devastation in his wake. He is feared throughout the Empire, a monster in black armor who shows no mercy. And he was once the man she loved more than anything in the galaxy. Padmé cannot reconcile the two images. The Anakin she remembers was passionate, yes, quick to anger, prone to making rash decisions. But he was also kind and brave and fiercely protective of the people he cared about. How could that man have become the creature described in these reports? How could he have killed younglings, choked his pregnant wife, pledged himself to the architect of galactic tyranny? She knows the answer, intellectually. Palpatine manipulated him for years, exploiting his fears and insecurities until there was nothing left of Anakin but darkness. The Jedi Order's rigid rules only made it worse, denying him the support and guidance he needed while pushing him toward the one person who seemed to understand. By the time Anakin realized what he had become, it was too late to turn back. But knowing the answer does not make it hurt any less. Some nights, when the loneliness becomes unbearable, she allows herself to imagine a different outcome. What if she had been more attentive? What if she had seen the signs earlier and intervened before Palpatine's corruption took hold? What if she had convinced Anakin to leave the Jedi Order and run away with her, far from the war and the darkness that consumed him? These thoughts are poison, she knows. Dwelling on what might have been only distracts from what must be done. But she cannot help herself. Even after everything, some part of her still loves Anakin Skywalker. Not Vader, the monster in the mask, but Anakin, the boy who freed himself from slavery and grew into the hero of the Clone Wars. That Anakin is dead, murdered by Palpatine as surely as if the Emperor had struck him down with his own hands. And one day, Padmé promises herself. Palpatine will pay for that crime, along with all the others. 8 years after the fall of the Republic, the rebellion launches its most ambitious operation to date. Imperial intelligence has constructed a new communications hub on Scarif, a facility that coordinates surveillance across the entire Outer Rim. Destroying it would blind the Empire in that region for months, giving the rebellion time to consolidate its forces and expand its influence. The operation requires everything they have: dozens of ships, hundreds of fighters, thousands of ground troops. It is a massive gamble, the kind of all-or-nothing strike that could make or break the rebellion. Padmé insists on leading the ground assault personally. Mon Mothma and Bail both argue against it, warning her that she is too valuable to risk on the front lines. But she is adamant. Her people need to see that their leaders share the danger. And more than that, she needs to see what they are fighting for firsthand. Coordinating battles from a distance has left her feeling disconnected from the reality of the war. The assault on Scarif begins at dawn. Rebel ships emerge from hyperspace and immediately engage the Imperial garrison fleet. In the chaos, transport ships slip through the defensive perimeter and land troops on the surface. Padmé is among them, dressed in combat gear with a blaster in each hand. The beaches of Scarif are beautiful in a cruel way. White sand stretches between crystalline waters and lush tropical forests. Under other circumstances, this would be a paradise. Today, it is a killing ground. The fighting is brutal. Imperial stormtroopers pour out of the facility, supported by walkers and air support. The rebels push forward through withering fire, using the jungle terrain for cover. Padmé moves with her squad, barking orders and returning fire with deadly accuracy. A walker looms above them, its massive legs crushing trees as it advances. Its chin-mounted blasters sweep across the beach, cutting down rebels who are too slow to find cover. Padmé rolls behind a fallen palm tree as sand erupts around her. "We need to take that walker down," she shouts into her comlink. "Anyone have heavy weapons?" "Negative, Commander. We lost our rocket team in the landing. Then we do this the hard way." She spots a pile of thermal detonators on a fallen trooper nearby. "Cover me." She sprints across the open beach, blaster fire tracking her steps. A bolt grazes her shoulder, burning through her jacket and scorching the skin beneath. She ignores the pain and keeps running. The detonators are in her hand. She activates them all at once and hurls them at the walker's leg joint. The explosion is massive. The walker staggers, its leg buckling beneath it. Then it crashes to the ground, crushing a squad of stormtroopers beneath its bulk. A cheer goes up from the surviving rebels, but Padmé does not celebrate. There is no time. Keep moving. The shield generator is still active. She has not lost her edge from her days as a warrior queen. If anything, years of guerrilla warfare have honed her skills to a razor point. She drops 2 stormtroopers with precise headshots, then ducks behind a fallen tree as a blaster bolt scorches the air above her. A thermal detonator sails over her head, landing in the midst of an advancing squad and scattering them. The jungle becomes a maze of death. Rebels and stormtroopers fight at close quarters, sometimes hand-to-hand. Padmé loses track of how many enemies she kills. Her blasters grow hot in her hands. Her arms ache from the constant recoil. But she cannot stop. Her people are counting on her. A stormtrooper tackles her from behind, knocking her to the ground. She rolls with the impact, coming up with her vibroblade already in motion. The blade finds the gap between helmet and chest plate, and the trooper drops. "Push forward. We need to reach the main tower." They advance meter by meter, paying for every step in blood. Rebels fall around her, some dead, some wounded, all heroes. Padmé does not have time to mourn them. She can only keep fighting, keep pushing, keep believing that their sacrifice will mean something. Finally, they breach the facility's outer perimeter. Padmé leads a strike team into the main building while the rest of her forces hold the entrance. They fight their way through corridors clogged with defenders, leaving a trail of bodies behind them. The control room is at the top of the central tower. When they finally reach it, only half her team is still standing. But they have made it. Padmé plants the explosives herself while her people secure the exits, setting the timer for 15 minutes. All teams, this is Verity. Package is planted. Begin evacuation immediately. They are halfway back to the landing zone when the world explodes into chaos. More Imperial ships have arrived, disgorging wave after wave of reinforcements. The rebel fleet is being pushed back. The evacuation is failing. And in the midst of the carnage, a black shuttle descends toward the surface. Padmé's blood runs cold. She knows that shuttle. She has seen it in countless intelligence reports. It belongs to Darth Vader. He is here. For a moment, she freezes. Every instinct screams at her to run, to hide, to get as far away from this place as possible. She cannot face him. She is not ready. She will never be ready. But then she sees what is happening around her. Her people are dying. The evacuation ships are being shot out of the sky. The mission is failing because the Empire's reinforcements are overwhelming their defenses. If someone does not buy them time, no one gets out alive. Padmé makes her decision. She breaks away from her squad, ignoring their shouted protests, and sprints toward the black shuttle that is landing near the facility's main entrance. Around her, stormtroopers are already deploying, forming a perimeter around their master's position. She crashes into them like a thunderbolt. Her blasters fire in rapid succession, dropping troopers left and right. A vibroblade flashes in her hand, cutting through armor and flesh. She moves like a dancer, flowing from one target to the next, leaving destruction in her wake. The stormtroopers never stood a chance. Within moments, she stands alone in a circle of fallen bodies, breathing hard, her weapons raised toward the figure emerging from the shuttle. Darth Vader stops at the foot of the ramp. The mechanical rasp of his breathing fills the sudden silence. His helmet turns slightly, taking in the scene of carnage around him. Then his attention focuses on her, and she feels the weight of his gaze like a physical force. Impressive. His voice is deep and resonant, utterly inhuman, but ultimately futile. Your rebellion ends here, not today. She raises her blasters. Today, I am taking my people home. She fires. The bolts streak toward him with lethal precision. But Vader does not even flinch. His hand comes up, and the bolts stop in midair, suspended by the Force. Then they reverse direction and speed back toward her. Padmé throws herself aside, rolling behind a piece of debris as the reflected shots scorch the ground where she stood. She comes up firing, but Vader is already moving, his lightsaber ignited, the crimson blade deflecting every shot with casual ease. He advances on her position, each step deliberate, unhurried. He knows she cannot defeat him. He knows she cannot escape. He is simply toying with her, taking his time to enjoy the hunt. But Padmé is not without resources. She triggers a series of explosives she planted earlier, and the ground erupts between them. Vader staggers, momentarily off balance. She uses the distraction to fall back, ducking through a doorway into the facility. Inside, the corridors are dark and smoke-filled. Warning alarms blare. The explosives she planted in the control room are counting down. 10 minutes until the entire facility goes up in flames. She needs to draw Vader away from her people. Give them time to escape, even if it costs her everything. The hunt through the facility is a nightmare. Vader pursues her relentlessly, his presence in the Force like a looming shadow of death. She leads him deeper into the complex, using her knowledge of the layout to stay one step ahead. Traps slow him down, but never stop him. Obstacles that would kill a normal man barely make him pause. She collapses a ceiling on him, buying herself 30 seconds while he tears through the rubble. She activates a security lockdown, sealing blast doors between them, but he simply cuts through them with his lightsaber. She triggers a fire suppression system, filling a corridor with foam, and for a moment, she thinks she has blinded him. Then she hears the mechanical breathing right behind her and barely dodges a slash that would have taken her head. He is toying with her. She knows that now. If he wanted her dead, she would already be dead. He is hurting her, driving her toward some conclusion only he can see. Finally, inevitably, he corners her in a large storage room. There is nowhere left to run. She turns to face him, her blasters raised, her heart pounding in her chest. The storage room is vast and dim, filled with towering shelves of supplies and equipment. Emergency lighting casts long shadows across the floor. The only sounds are her ragged breathing and the mechanical rasp of his respirator. Vader stops a few meters away. His lightsaber hums, casting bloody light across the walls. For a long moment, neither of them moves. "You fight well for a terrorist." His voice echoes in the empty room. "But you must know this can only end one way. Maybe." Her voice is steady despite her terror. She has faced death many times, but never like this. Never from him. But I have already won. Look outside. Your reinforcements are too late. My people are escaping. Your people are dying. He takes a step toward her, as will you. Unless you tell me what I want to know. And what is that? Who leads your rebellion? Where are your bases? Who funds your operations? Even if I knew, I would never tell you. You will. Everyone breaks eventually. I have methods that would make you beg to betray your cause, then use them. She raises her blasters. But you will have to catch me first. She fires. The bolts are absorbed by his outstretched hand. Then he makes a fist, and her blasters crumple in her grip, the metal crushing her fingers. She cries out and drops them, her hands throbbing with pain. Now. He advances slowly. We can do this the easy way or the hard way. Choose. She looks up at him, this monster who wears her husband's face, and makes her choice. She pulls a thermal detonator from her belt and activates it. Vader does not respond immediately. Then, slowly, he reaches up and removes his helmet. The seals hiss as it comes free, and he lowers it to reveal his face. Padmé's breath catches in her throat. It is still Anakin's face, scarred and pale, twisted by years of pain and darkness, but still recognizable. The face she loved, the face she dreamed about on countless lonely nights, the face of the father of her children. His eyes meet hers, and she sees something flicker in their yellow depths. Confusion, recognition, and buried deep beneath the surface, something that might be pain. You. His voice without the helmet is different, rougher, more human. But I felt you die. Slowly, Padmé reaches up and removes her own mask. The voice modulator falls silent. She stands before him as herself, as Padmé Amidala, for the first time in 8 years. Hello, Anakin. The name hits him like a physical blow. He staggers back, his lightsaber flickering. His face contorts through a series of emotions: shock, disbelief, anguish, rage. The storage room shudders as his control over the Force wavers, sending crates and debris flying. No, his voice is barely above a whisper. This is a trick, a deception. You are dead. I killed you. You almost did. She does not look away from him. On Mustafar. Do you remember? You choked me. Your own wife. Your pregnant wife. Because your new master told you I had betrayed you. That was different. I was protecting you. I was trying to save you from yourself. By killing me? She takes a step forward, and he actually retreats. By killing our child? The word strikes him like a lightsaber through the heart. His mouth opens, but no sound comes out. She can see the gears turning in his mind, the terrible realization dawning. Child. His voice cracks. The child survived. Children, twins, a boy and a girl. Padmé's voice softens despite herself. They are beautiful, Anakin. They have your eyes. For a moment, just a moment, she sees him. The real him. Anakin Skywalker, buried beneath all that darkness and pain, fighting to reach the surface. His eyes lose their yellow tinge, flickering back toward blue. His posture shifts, losing some of its aggressive tension. His lightsaber lowers, the blade pointing harmlessly at the floor. Padmé. His voice is raw. I thought I lost everything. I thought there was nothing left. There is still time. She takes another step toward him, her hand reaching out. Come with me. Leave the Empire. Help me bring down Palpatine. We can raise our children together. We can build a better galaxy for them. Our children. He says the words as if they are foreign, as if he cannot quite grasp their meaning. Where are they? What are their names? Luke and Leia. She can feel tears streaming down her face. Luke has your eyes. Leia has your stubbornness. They are beautiful, Anakin. So beautiful. He staggers as if she has struck him. His hand reaches out toward her, trembling. She can see the battle raging inside him, the light and dark tearing at each other. For 20 years, he has believed he killed his wife and child. For 20 years, he has channeled that grief into rage and hatred. Now the foundation of his existence is crumbling beneath him. I have dreamed of them. His voice is barely audible. Every night since Mustafar, I see their faces, faces I never knew. I thought they were just phantoms, torments sent by the Force to punish me. They are real. Come with me and you can meet them. You can be their father. For one heartbreaking moment, she thinks he will accept. His hand moves toward hers, trembling, desperate. His eyes are wet with tears he has not shed in years. The man she loved is right there, just beneath the surface, fighting to break free. Then his expression hardens. The yellow returns to his eyes. His lightsaber rises. It is too late for me. He does not sound triumphant. He sounds defeated, broken. The Emperor would never allow it. If I betray him, he will hunt down our children. He will destroy everything we love. The only way to protect them is to serve him. That is not protection. That is slavery. Do you think Palpatine does not already suspect? Do you think he will not use them against you the moment he discovers them? She steps forward, desperate now. He will corrupt them the way he corrupted you. He will turn them into weapons. Is that what you want for our children? He flinches at her words. She can see the doubt in his eyes, the fear. But beneath it is something else. Something cold and hard that she has never seen before. The part of him that belongs to Vader. What I want does not matter. His voice is flat, emotionless. All that matters is power. And the Emperor has all the power. No, you have power too. More power than he does. The prophecy said you would bring balance to the Force. You can still fulfill that destiny. You can destroy him and free the galaxy. The prophecy was a lie. He spits the words like poison. There is no balance. There is only the dark side. That is what he wants you to believe. Padmé's voice is fierce. That is how he controls you. But you are stronger than him. You always have been. The Anakin I knew would never surrender. He would fight for what is right, no matter the cost. The Anakin you knew is dead. The shout echoes through the room, carrying with it a wave of Force energy that knocks her backward. She crashes into a pile of crates, pain flaring through her body. Vader looms over her, his face twisted with anguish and rage. There is only Vader now, only darkness, and you. He raises his lightsaber. You should have stayed dead. Padmé looks up at him, blood trickling from a cut on her forehead. She knows she should be afraid. She should be fighting, running, trying to escape. But all she feels is sorrow. I loved you, Anakin. I still do. That is why I cannot give up on you. Even now. The lightsaber trembles in his hand. She can see the conflict raging inside him, the battle between light and dark that has defined his entire existence. For a long moment, neither of them moves. Then an explosion rocks the facility. The timer. She had almost forgotten. Vader stumbles, thrown off balance by the blast. Padmé seizes the opportunity. She grabs a smoke grenade from her belt and throws it at his feet, filling the room with thick, choking fog. Then she runs. She does not look back. She cannot afford to. Behind her, she hears his roar of fury, feels his rage burning in the Force like a star going supernova. But she keeps running, navigating through the collapsing facility by memory and instinct until she bursts out into the open air. The transport ship is waiting for her, its engines already firing. She throws herself aboard just as the facility explodes behind her, a massive fireball that lights up the sky. The ship lurches upward, punching through the atmosphere and into the chaos of the space battle above. Against all odds, they make it. The Rebel fleet disengages, jumping to hyperspace before the Imperial reinforcements can cut off their escape. The mission is a success. The communications hub is destroyed. The rebellion lives to fight another day. But as Padmé slumps in her seat, exhausted and bleeding, she cannot feel any sense of victory. All she can think about is Anakin's face, the pain in his eyes, the hand reaching toward her before pulling away. He is still in there. Somewhere beneath all that darkness, her Anakin is still fighting. She has to believe that, because if there is no hope for him, then what is she fighting for? The aftermath of Scarif changes things. The rebellion is no longer just a nuisance to the Empire. It is a genuine threat. Palpatine responds with unprecedented brutality, cracking down on suspected sympathizers, tightening control over the holonet, increasing military presence on Outer Rim worlds. The noose tightens. Thousands are arrested on suspicion of rebel sympathies. Some are executed publicly, their deaths broadcast across the holonet as warnings. Others simply disappear into the Empire's vast network of detention facilities, never to be seen again. Fear becomes the currency of the realm, and Palpatine spends it lavishly. But the galaxy has seen that the Empire can be hurt. That gives them hope. And hope, Padmé knows, is the most dangerous weapon of all. On Chandrila, a protest breaks out against Imperial occupation. The local garrison moves to suppress it, but the protesters fight back. What begins as a peaceful demonstration becomes a riot, then a full-scale uprising. It takes the Empire 3 days to restore order, and by then, the damage is done. Other worlds see what happened and begin to wonder if they could do the same. On Bothawi, the Bothan spy net, which has long maintained a facade of neutrality, finally commits to the rebellion. Their intelligence capabilities are unmatched, and their networks span the galaxy. It is a coup that Padmé has been working toward for years. On Mon Cala, the aquatic Mon Calamari and Quarren set aside their historic rivalries to join the fight. Their shipyards begin producing warships for the rebel fleet in secret, hidden beneath the planet's endless oceans where Imperial censors cannot reach. The rebellion grows stronger every day, but so does the Empire's determination to destroy it. She throws herself back into the work, recruiting new cells, coordinating operations, building the infrastructure for a larger war. But something has shifted inside her. The confrontation with Vader has reopened wounds she thought had healed. She finds herself thinking about him constantly, wondering if there is some way to reach him, to bring him back from the darkness. She dreams of him sometimes, not Vader, but Anakin, the way he was before the fall. They are walking together on the beaches of Naboo, hand in hand, and everything is peaceful and beautiful. Then he turns to her, and his eyes are yellow, and the beach is burning, and she wakes up screaming. The dreams come more frequently after Scarif. Some nights she is afraid to sleep at all. Mon Mothma notices the change. One evening, she corners Padmé in a quiet moment and asks the question directly. "You confronted Vader on Scarif. What happened?" Padmé considers lying. It would be safer. But she is so tired of lies, so tired of masks and secrets and pretending to be someone she is not. "I showed him my face. He knows I am alive now." Mon Mothma's expression does not change, but there is a new tension in her posture. That is extremely dangerous. He will hunt you. He will never stop until he finds you. "I know." "Then why did you do it?" "Because I had to know." She meets Mon Mothma's gaze. "I had to know if there was anything left of the man he used to be." "And is there?" "I do not know. Maybe." She looks away. "He had a chance to kill me. He did not take it. That does not mean he has changed. It only means he was conflicted in that moment. The next time, he might not hesitate. I know that too." Padmé sighs. "But I cannot give up on him. He was manipulated by Palpatine for years. The darkness inside him is not natural. It was cultivated, nurtured, exploited. If we can remove Palpatine from the equation, maybe we can save him. Or maybe he will destroy us all. That is possible. But is that not why we are fighting? To give people hope? To show them that there is an alternative to tyranny and despair? If we cannot believe in redemption, then what are we really offering the galaxy? Mon Mothma does not have an answer for that. The conversation ends there, but the questions linger. In the weeks that follow, Padmé thinks long and hard about what she wants, what she believes, and what she is willing to sacrifice. In the end, she makes a decision. She will not seek out Vader. She will not try to force a confrontation. But if the opportunity arises to reach him, to show him another path, she will take it. Because even after everything, she refuses to believe that Anakin Skywalker is truly gone. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Darth Vader struggles with his own demons. The revelation that Padmé survived has shattered something inside him. For years, he built his identity around her death. His grief and guilt fueled his rage, powering his connection to the dark side. Without that, what is he? He paces his meditation chamber for hours, unable to find peace. The memory of her face haunts him. Not just her face on Scarif, but her face as it was before. Young and beautiful and full of life. The way she looked on their wedding day, wreathed in flowers, her smile brighter than the Naboo sun. The way she looked when she told him she was pregnant, her eyes shining with tears of joy. The way she looked on Mustafar, fear and sorrow and love, all mixed together as he wrapped his hand around her throat. He did that. he almost killed her. And she survived anyway. She survived and built a rebellion and fought against everything he has worked for. She looked at what he became and refused to give up on him. What kind of man does that make him? Worse, she told him about the children. Twins, his children, alive somewhere in the galaxy, hidden from him, growing up without knowing who their father is. The thought consumes him. He obsesses over it, devoting every spare moment to searching for them. He interrogates prisoners, analyzes intelligence reports, follows leads that invariably turn cold. He imagines what they might look like. Do they have his eyes or hers? His height or her grace? Are they strong in the Force? Do they know anything about him at all? He imagines meeting them, standing before them and seeing himself reflected in their faces. Would they accept him? Could they ever forgive him for what he has done? He imagines Padmé raising them, teaching them to walk and talk and read, holding them when they cry, telling them stories about their father, the hero who fell. Does she hate him? She should. After what he did, she should despise him with every fiber of her being. But she reached out to him on Scarif. She offered him a chance at redemption. Even after everything, she still believes there is good in him. Is there? But he finds nothing. Padmé covered her tracks too well, and the more he searches, the more he realizes how much he has lost. Palpatine senses his distraction. The Emperor does not know about Padmé or the children, not yet, but he knows something is wrong with his apprentice. He tightens his grip on Vader, assigning him more demanding missions, watching him more closely. The threat is unspoken, but clear. Remember who owns you. One evening, Palpatine summons Vader to his throne room. The old man sits in his chair like a spider at the center of a web, his yellow eyes gleaming in the darkness. You have been distracted lately, Lord Vader. Unfocused. I sense conflict within you. There is no conflict, Master. Only purpose. Do not lie to me. Palpatine leans forward, his voice dropping to a hiss. I feel your doubt, your uncertainty. Something has shaken your faith in our cause. Vader says nothing. He cannot reveal the truth. If Palpatine learns about Padmé and the children, he will destroy them. Or worse, he will use them as leverage, forcing Vader to choose between his family and his master. But Palpatine is watching him with those ancient, knowing eyes. Vader feels his mind being probed, the Emperor's presence slithering through his thoughts like a serpent. He throws up mental barriers, but he knows they will not hold forever. Whatever troubles you, put it aside. Palpatine settles back in his chair. We are at a critical juncture. The rebellion grows bolder. If we do not crush them soon, they may become a genuine threat. I will deal with them, Master. See that you do. Palpatine waves a dismissive hand. You are my servant, Vader. Never forget that. Vader bows and leaves, but as he walks through the corridors of the Imperial Palace, his hands clench into fists. Servant. After everything he has sacrificed, everything he has become, he is still just a servant, a tool to be used and discarded. What if Padmé is right? What if he could overthrow Palpatine? The thought is seductive, dangerous. He pushes it away, but it keeps coming back. Vader chafes under the pressure. For the first time in years, he begins to question his choices. Was it worth it? All the death and destruction, all the atrocities committed in Palpatine's name, and for what? An empty throne and a prison of his own making? He remembers what Padmé said on Scarif. You are stronger than him. You always have been. Is she right? Could he really overthrow Palpatine? And if he did, what then? Would Padmé take him back? Would his children ever accept him? These questions torment him. He has no answers. All he knows is that the certainty he once felt is gone, replaced by a gnawing doubt that refuses to be silenced. The war continues. 10 years after the fall of the Republic, the rebellion has grown into a genuine threat. What started as whispered resistance has become an organized military force with ships, troops, and bases scattered across the galaxy. The Imperial military is stretched thin, fighting on multiple fronts, struggling to contain an enemy that refuses to die. Padmé watches the progress with a mixture of pride and concern. They have accomplished more than she ever dreamed possible. But the cost has been staggering. Millions dead, entire worlds devastated. And still the Empire endures, its grip weakened but not broken. Leia has grown into a remarkable young woman. At 16, she is already involved in politics, serving as a junior senator from Alderaan under her adoptive father's guidance. She has her mother's fire and her father's stubbornness, a combination that makes her both brilliant and infuriating. Padmé watches her from afar, filled with love and pride and terrible fear. The time has come to tell her the truth. They meet in a secure location on Alderaan, a hidden room beneath the palace that Bail built years ago for exactly this kind of conversation. The walls are lined with sensor-dampening material. The door is blast-proof. No one can hear them here. Padmé has removed her mask, revealing her face to her daughter for the first time. Her hands are shaking, though she tries to hide it. She has faced Imperial interrogators without flinching, but this terrifies her more than anything she's ever done. Leia stares at her with a mixture of confusion and recognition, as if she is seeing someone from a half-remembered dream. Her brow furrows. She tilts her head. "I know you." Leia's voice is uncertain. "You have been at so many events, always in the background. Father said you were an intelligence operative. But you are more than that, are you not?" "That is partially true." Padmé's heart is racing, but she forces herself to stay calm. "I have been watching over you your entire life, Leia, but not just as an operative." "Then who are you?" Padmé takes a deep breath. She has rehearsed this moment 1,000 times. She has planned what to say, how to say it, how to answer every possible question. But now that it is here, all her preparation seems inadequate. "I am your mother." The silence that follows is deafening. Leia's face cycles through a dozen emotions: shock, disbelief, anger, hope. Her hands clench and unclench. Her jaw tightens. She takes a step back, then forward, then back again, as if she cannot decide whether to embrace Padmé or flee from her. "My mother is dead." Her voice is barely above a whisper. "She died giving birth to me. Father told me. Everyone told me. That is what we wanted the galaxy to believe. It was the only way to keep you safe." Padmé reaches out, stopping just short of touching her daughter's hand. "Your biological father is Darth Vader. If the Empire discovered your true parentage, they would have taken you, turned you into a weapon, or killed you. Vader." Leia's voice cracks on the name. The Emperor's enforcer, the monster who has killed millions. She looks at Padmé with something approaching horror. "He is my father. He was not always a monster. He was a Jedi once, a hero of the Republic. His name was Anakin Skywalker, and I loved him. But Palpatine corrupted him, turned him into something terrible. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late." "And you just let him? You did not try to stop him?" "I tried. On the day the Empire rose, I went to him. I begged him to come away with me, to leave the darkness behind. He choked me. I nearly died." She pauses, steadying herself. The memory still hurts, even after all these years. The only thing that kept me alive was you and your brother. Brother? Leia's eyes widen. I have a brother? His name is Luke. He was raised on Tatooine, far from the Empire's reach. I have not seen him since he was an infant. Padmé's voice cracks. Separating from you both was the hardest thing I have ever done. But it was the only way. For a long time, Leia says nothing. Then, slowly, she reaches out and takes her mother's hand. The touch is tentative at first, but it grows stronger. I do not know what to say. It is too much. I know. And I do not expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know the truth. You deserve that much. Leia squeezes her hand. I need time to process this, to think. Of course. Take all the time you need. I will be here whenever you are ready. But as Padmé turns to leave, Leia calls after her. Wait. She hesitates. Can you tell me about him? About who he was before? Padmé stops. Slowly, she turns back. She sees her daughter, her beautiful, brilliant daughter, looking at her with eyes full of questions and longing. And she realizes that this is what she's been waiting for. All these years of secrets and sacrifice, leading to this moment. She sits down beside Leia and begins to talk. She tells her about Anakin as a boy, a slave on Tatooine who dreamed of freeing all the slaves in the galaxy. She tells her about his courage and his kindness, his fierce loyalty and his terrible temper. She tells her about the Clone Wars, about the battles they fought side by side, about the love that grew between them despite all the rules forbidding it. She tells her about the good times, the stolen moments of happiness, the way he used to make her laugh, the night he proposed to her under the stars of Naboo. And she tells her about the fall, the fear that consumed him, the manipulation that twisted him, the terrible choices that led him down the path to darkness. When she finishes, hours have passed. They are both exhausted, wrung out emotionally. But something has changed between them. A barrier has fallen. A connection has been forged. Thank you. Leia's voice is soft but steady. For telling me. For being honest. Padmé cups her daughter's face in her hands. You are the best thing I have ever done. You and your brother. No matter what happens, I want you to know that. They embrace, mother and daughter, holding each other tight. For this one moment, the war and the Empire and all the darkness in the galaxy fade away. There is only love. But moments end, and the war goes on. 15 years after the fall of the Republic, the rebellion launches its largest offensive yet. Imperial intelligence has intercepted plans for a massive weapon under construction, a battle station capable of destroying entire planets. The Death Star, they call it. If completed, it will give the Empire absolute power over the galaxy. The plans must be stolen. It is their only chance. Padmé coordinates the operation from Yavin 4, the rebellion's hidden headquarters. She is too recognizable now to operate in the field. Vader has made her capture a top priority, deploying his best agents to track her down. But she can still contribute, using her years of experience to plan and coordinate the most complex operation in the rebellion's history. The mission succeeds. Barely. A team led by a young pilot named Cassian Andor manages to transmit the Death Star plans before being overwhelmed by Imperial forces. But the cost is staggering. Dozens of operatives killed, an entire cell wiped out, and the Empire now knows exactly where to find them. Padmé stares at the holographic display showing the stolen plans. The Death Star is even more terrifying than they imagined. A weapon of unimaginable destructive power designed to crush any opposition with a single shot. But there is a weakness, a thermal exhaust port leading directly to the main reactor. A 1 in a million shot, but possible. We have to destroy it. Mon Mothma's voice is grim. Before it becomes operational. Before they can use it. Agreed. But we need a pilot capable of making that shot. And we need a distraction to get them close enough to try. Padmé looks at the assembled leadership. Bail Organa, Mon Mothma, Admiral Akbar, General Dodana, the best minds the rebellion has to offer. But they are all looking at her, waiting for her to speak. She thinks about everything they have sacrificed, all the lives lost, all the worlds devastated, the friends who died fighting for a cause that sometimes seemed hopeless. And she thinks about Leia, now a full senator, working tirelessly for the Alliance. About Luke, whom she has finally reunited with, a young man with his father's eyes and his mother's determination. This is what we have been building toward. Everything we have done, every sacrifice we have made, leads to this moment. We destroy the Death Star, or we lose everything. Then, let us get to work. The Battle of Yavin is the defining moment of the Galactic Civil War. Rebel forces throw everything they have at the Death Star, buying time for their fighters to make the attack run. Padmé watches from the command center, her heart in her throat, as pilot after pilot is shot down. Then, a young man's voice crackles over the comms. I am going in. Luke Skywalker, her son, the boy she gave up to keep safe, now risking his life to save the galaxy. Use the Force, Luke. The voice is not hers. It belongs to Obi-Wan Kenobi, somehow speaking from beyond the grave. She does not understand how, but she feels the truth of it. The Force is with her son. Luke fires. The torpedoes streak into the exhaust port. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the Death Star explodes. The cheering in the command center is deafening. People embrace, weep, scream with joy. They have won. Against all odds, they have won. But Padmé cannot celebrate. Not yet. Because she knows what comes next. Vader survived the battle. His ship was damaged, sent spinning into space, but he lives. And now he knows that his son exists. The game has changed. Everything is different now. In the aftermath of Yavin, Padmé finally reunites with Luke. They meet on Yavin 4 in a quiet moment amid the celebration. He does not know who she is. Not yet. To him, she is just another rebel leader, one of many who congratulated him on his impossible shot. But as she approaches, something shifts in his expression. He looks at her, really looks at her, and she sees recognition dawn in his eyes. I know you. His voice is wondering. I have seen you in my dreams. Who are you? Padmé takes a deep breath. She has imagined this moment countless times. Now that it is here, she does not know what to say. My name is Padmé Amidala. A long time ago, I was a queen and a senator. I was also married to a man named Anakin Skywalker. Luke's breath catches. Anakin Skywalker, my father. Yes. She reaches out, cupping his face in her hands. Your father. And I am your mother. The silence stretches between them. She can see him processing, sorting through everything he thought he knew and reconciling it with this new truth. His face is so open, so expressive, so much like Anakin's. I thought my mother died in childbirth. That is what we wanted everyone to believe. It was the only way to keep you safe. From Vader, from the Emperor. Tears streamed down her face. I am so sorry, Luke. I wanted to be there for you. Every day, I wished I could have raised you, but I had to protect you. You gave me up to protect me. Yes. And you have been fighting the Empire all this time, building the rebellion, planning the attack that destroyed the Death Star. Yes. Luke is silent for a long moment. Then slowly, he steps forward and wraps his arms around her. Thank you. His voice is thick with emotion. For everything. For fighting. For surviving. For being here. She holds him tight. This son she barely knows. This young man who carries the hope of the galaxy on his shoulders. And for the first time in 15 years, she feels whole. But the war is far from over. Vader now knows about Luke. He will stop at nothing to find him, to turn him to the dark side or destroy him. And Padmé knows that eventually, Luke will have to face his father. It is inevitable. The Force demands it. What she does not know is whether that confrontation will end in redemption or destruction. In the months following Yavin, the war intensifies. The Empire, humiliated by the loss of the Death Star, strikes back with unprecedented fury. Rebel bases are discovered and destroyed. Key leaders are captured or killed. The Alliance is forced to scatter, always one step ahead of the Imperial fleet. Padmé works tirelessly to hold things together. She coordinates supply lines, manages intelligence networks, plans desperate defensive actions. But she can feel the noose tightening. The Empire has resources they cannot match. Eventually, they will be overwhelmed, unless something changes. That change comes on Cloud City. Luke goes there to rescue his friends, despite everyone urging him not to. Padmé knows it is a trap, knows that Vader is waiting for him, but she cannot stop him. The Force is pulling him forward, toward a destiny she cannot control. She waits in agony for news. Hours pass. Then a transmission from Leia, garbled but understandable. We have Luke. He is injured but alive. Vader. Vader told him the truth. Padmé closes her eyes. She knew this moment would come. She just hoped she would have more time. When she sees Luke on the medical frigate, her heart breaks. He is missing a hand, cut off by Vader's lightsaber. His eyes are hollow, haunted by something more than physical pain. He told me he is my father. Luke's voice is flat, emotionless. He said he killed Anakin Skywalker. Padmé sits beside him, taking his remaining hand in hers. That is what he believes. It is easier for him to think of himself as a different person than to face what he has become. How can I fight him? How can I destroy my own father? You cannot think of it that way. She squeezes his hand. Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader are not the same person. The man you faced on Cloud City, the monster who cut off your hand, that is not your father. That is what Palpatine made of him. But there is still good in him. I felt it. Padmé hesitates. She has believed that for so long, clung to it through years of war and loss. But after everything that has happened, she is no longer certain. I want to believe that too. But wanting something does not make it true. The darkness inside Vader runs deep. Palpatine has been feeding it for decades. Even if some trace of Anakin remains, it may not be enough. Then what do? You fight. For yourself. For the people you love. For the galaxy. She meets his eyes. And if the moment comes when you can reach him, when you can pull him back from the darkness, then you try. But not at the cost of everything else. The rebellion, the alliance, the hope of billions. That has to come first. Luke nods slowly. I understand. But she can see that he does not. Not really. He is his father's son, stubborn and idealistic, believing that love can conquer anything. And maybe he is right. Maybe she has become too cynical, too hardened by years of war. She hopes so, because if Luke fails, there may not be anyone left to try. The final year of the war arrives with brutal inevitability. The Empire constructs a second Death Star, even larger than the first. This time, There is no stolen plans, no convenient weakness. They will have to destroy it through sheer force. The plan is desperate. A ground team will disable the shield generator on the forest moon of Endor. Then the fleet will attack the Death Star directly, hoping to destroy it before it becomes operational. Padmé insists on joining the ground team. She knows it is dangerous, knows that her presence adds risk. But she cannot stand by while her children fight for the future of the galaxy. The mission begins well. They land on Endor undetected and make contact with the native Ewoks. Leia's diplomatic skills prove invaluable, winning the small creatures to their cause. For a brief moment, it feels like they might actually succeed. Then Luke leaves. He tells them he has to face Vader, that the Emperor is on the Death Star, and that this is the only way to end the war. Padmé tries to stop him, but he is determined. There is good in him. I know there is. He takes her hands. I have to try. You could die, I know. But if I do not try, what was any of this for? She looks at her son, this brave, idealistic young man who carries so much of his father within him. And she knows she cannot stop him. This is his destiny. Come back to me. I will. He hugs her tight, then disappears into the forest. The battle on Endor is chaos. Stormtroopers everywhere. Blaster fire crisscrossing the underbrush, explosions shaking the trees. Padmé fights alongside her rebel companions, her blasters blazing, taking down enemies with the precision born of 2 decades of war. The Ewoks prove to be surprisingly effective allies. What they lack in technology, they make up for in ferocity and knowledge of the terrain. They swing from vines to drop rocks on stormtroopers. They dig pit traps that swallow walkers whole. They ambush patrols with primitive but deadly weapons. Padmé finds herself fighting alongside a particularly fierce Ewok named Wicket, who dispatches enemies with a stone axe while chattering encouragement. A walker crashes through the trees ahead, its cannons blazing. Rebels scatter, diving for cover behind logs and boulders. Padmé spots a weakness, a gap in the armor where the leg connects to the body. She grabs a thermal detonator and sprints toward it. "Cover me!" she shouts. Leia provides covering fire, dropping 2 stormtroopers who try to intercept. Padmé slides under the walker's legs, plants the detonator, and rolls clear just as it explodes. The walker topples, crushing a squad of stormtroopers beneath it. Nice shot. Leia appears at her side, blaster still smoking. You have not lost your edge, neither have you. Where did you learn to fight like that? I had good teachers. Leia grins, including one mysterious woman who kept showing up at important moments and teaching me things my adoptive parents thought were unladylike. Padmé laughs despite the chaos around them. It is the first time she has laughed in months. The battle continues. Wave after wave of stormtroopers pour out of the bunker, determined to hold the shield generator at all costs. The rebels push forward, paying for every meter in blood. Han Solo leads a strike team into the bunker itself, fighting through the defenders to reach the main controls. Leia is there, fighting beside her. Mother and daughter, back to back, defending each other as the battle rages around. Them. I never got to say it. Leia's voice cuts through the noise. I am glad you are my mother. Padmé smiles despite everything. I am glad you are my daughter. They fight on. Above them, in the Emperor's throne room, Luke faces his destiny. Padmé cannot see what happens. She can only feel it, the force surging around her as something momentous unfolds. Darkness and light, locked in eternal struggle. A son trying to save his father. A father trying to corrupt his son. And watching over it all, the Emperor, weaving his web of manipulation. Then something shifts. She feels it like a physical blow, a wave of agony and triumph and terrible loss rolling across the force. Something has happened. Something has changed. The shield generator falls. The Death Star explodes. The Empire is defeated. And somewhere in the flames, she feels Anakin Skywalker take his last breath. It takes days for the full story to emerge. Luke tells it haltingly, his voice breaking repeatedly. The Emperor tried to turn him to the dark side. Vader watched, obeying his master's commands. But when the Emperor began killing Luke with Force lightning, something inside Vader broke. He turned on his master, lifting Palpatine and throwing him into the reactor shaft. But the lightning had damaged his life support. He was dying. Luke removed his mask, despite his protests. He looked at his father's face for the first and last time. "Tell your sister you were right." Those were his final words. "Tell her there was good in me." Padmé listens to the story with tears streaming down her face. Her Anakin, her love, gone but redeemed. In the end, when it mattered most, he chose the light. It is not enough to erase everything he did. The millions who died by his hand, the worlds he devastated, the Jedi he hunted down, all of that remains. Anakin Skywalker was not a good man. He made terrible choices and caused unimaginable suffering. But in the end, he chose love over power. He saved his son. He destroyed the Emperor. He gave the galaxy a chance. It is not enough, but it is something. The victory celebration on Endor is bittersweet. The war is over. The Empire is broken. But the cost has been staggering. So many dead. So many worlds in ruins. So much work ahead to rebuild what was lost. Padmé stands at the edge of the festivities, watching her children laugh and embrace their friends. Luke, the hero who saved the galaxy. Leia, the leader who will help rebuild it. Both of them so strong, so capable, so full of hope. They will be fine without her. Better than fine. They will change the galaxy, create something beautiful from the ashes of tyranny. She has given them everything she can. The rest is up to them. A presence materializes beside her, faint, translucent, glowing with a soft blue light. Anakin. He looks like he did before Mustafar. Young, handsome, free of the scars and machinery that imprisoned him for so long. He smiles at her, that boyish grin she fell in love with so many years ago. "Padmé, is it really you? What is left of me?" His voice is sad but peaceful. I could not leave without saying goodbye. She reaches for him, but her hand passes through his ghostly form. The contact she craved for 20 years, still denied. "I am sorry." His smile fades. "For everything. I was weak. I was afraid. I let Palpatine turn me into a monster. You deserve so much better. We all deserve better." She looks at their children, laughing in the firelight. "But we survived. We won. Because of you, in the end. Because of Luke, because of Leia. Because of you." He shakes his head. "I did not save the galaxy. I just stopped being the one destroying it. That matters. More than you know." They stand together in silence, watching the celebration. Two people who loved each other despite everything, separated by choices they could not take back. It is too late for them. Far too late. But at least they have this moment. I have to go now. Anakin's form begins to fade. "The Force is calling me. Will I see you again?" He smiles. "When your time comes, I will be waiting." He vanishes, leaving only the faint impression of warmth where he stood. Padmé stares at the empty space for a long moment. Then she wipes her eyes and walks toward her children. There is work to do, a galaxy to rebuild, a future to create. The war is over, but the story is just beginning. In the years that follow, Padmé Amidala becomes one of the architects of the new republic. She works alongside Mon Mothma and Leia to create a government that will not repeat the mistakes of the old. Decentralized power, strong protections for individual rights, checks and balances to prevent the rise of another Palpatine. The debates are fierce and sometimes bitter. Some want revenge against former Imperials, others want reconciliation at any cost. Padmé argues for a middle path, justice for those who committed atrocities, but amnesty for those who were simply following orders. Her voice carries weight, not just because of her role in the rebellion, but because she understands both sides. She loved a man who became a monster. She knows how easy it is to fall and how hard it is to climb back up. The new republic takes shape piece by piece. A new constitution is drafted and ratified. Elections are held on hundreds of worlds. A new Senate convenes on Chandrila, far from the corruption of Coruscant. It is messy and contentious and frequently frustrating, but it is democracy. Real democracy, not the hollow mockery that Palpatine twisted the old republic into. Padmé serves in the Senate for several terms, representing Naboo. She is older now, her hair streaked with silver, her face lined with the marks of decades of struggle. But her voice is still strong, and her conviction unshaken. She fights for the poor and dispossessed, for the worlds that suffered most under Imperial rule, for the victims who deserve justice and the survivors who need healing. It is not perfect. Nothing ever is. There are compromises and disappointments, setbacks and conflicts. The galaxy does not magically become peaceful just because the Empire fell. There are Imperial remnants to fight, crime syndicates to suppress, old grudges to settle. Sometimes it feels like they are building sandcastles against the tide. But they persevere. Slowly, painfully, they build something better. Padmé watches her children flourish. Luke establishes a new Jedi Order, learning from the mistakes of the old. He creates an academy where students are encouraged to form attachments, to love freely, to embrace their emotions without being consumed by them. It is a radical departure from the traditions of the past. But Luke believes it is the only way to prevent another Anakin Skywalker. Padmé watches from afar and thinks he might be right. Leia becomes one of the New Republic's most respected leaders, a voice for justice and compassion in a galaxy still healing from war. She inherits her mother's political instincts and her father's charisma, wielding both to champion causes that matter. She leads delegations to former Imperial worlds, convincing them to join the Republic through diplomacy rather than force. She establishes relief programs for refugees and displaced persons. She builds bridges where others want to build walls. Both of them marry, have children, create families of their own. Luke falls in love with a woman named Mara Jade, a former Imperial assassin who found redemption. Leia marries Han Solo, the scoundrel smuggler who became a general and helped save the galaxy. Padmé gains a son-in-law and a daughter-in-law, both of whom she comes to love as much as her own children. She becomes a grandmother. The thought still amazes her sometimes. The woman who nearly died on Polis Massa, who spent 2 decades hiding in the shadows, now has grandchildren who climb into her lap and demand stories about the old days. There is Ben, Leia, and Han's son, who has his grandfather's intensity and his grandmother's stubbornness. He is strong in the Force, stronger than anyone expected, and Luke takes a special interest in training him. Padmé watches him grow with a mixture of pride and concern. She sees too much of Anakin in him sometimes. The same passion, the same temper, the same potential for greatness or destruction. She prays that history does not repeat itself. There are Luke's students, who call her grandmother even though most are not related by blood. They swarm around her when she visits the academy, hungry for stories about the Clone Wars and the fall of the Republic. She tells them about the brave Jedi she knew, the ones who died defending democracy. She tells them about the dangers of pride and isolation, the mistakes that led to the Order's destruction. And she tells them about Anakin, the boy who might have saved everything if only he had been shown a different path. She tells them about the Republic, about the Clone Wars, about their grandfather, the hero who fell and was redeemed. She does not hide the darkness, but she does not dwell on it either. What matters is that in the end, love won. The grandchildren listen with wide eyes. To them, these are just stories, adventures from a distant past that feels more like legend than history. They cannot imagine a galaxy ruled by terror, where hope itself was considered treason. They have grown up in peace, in freedom, in a galaxy where they can be anything they want to be. That is her legacy, not the battles she fought or the enemies she defeated. The children who will never know war, the generations who will grow up free. And at night, when the children are asleep and the house is quiet, she sometimes feels a presence beside her, a whisper in the Force, warm and familiar. It is Anakin. She knows it is him, even though she cannot see him. She feels his presence the way she used to feel it when they were young, when their love was new and everything seemed possible. Sometimes she talks to him, sharing her joys and sorrows, telling him about the children and grandchildren he never got to meet. She does not know if he can hear her, but she speaks anyway. Soon, the whisper says, soon we will be together again. She smiles and goes back to sleep. The years pass. The New Republic faces new challenges and overcomes them. Imperial remnants launch offensives and are defeated. Crime syndicates rise and fall. Politicians scheme and are exposed. Through it all, the Republic endures. It bends, but does not break. It stumbles, but does not fall. Padmé steps back from public life, eventually. She's tired, her body worn down by decades of struggle. She returns to Naboo, to the lake country where she and Anakin were married, and spends her final years in quiet contemplation. Old friends visit sometimes. Mon Mothma, now frail and gray. The few surviving veterans of the rebellion who remember her as Verity. Her children and grandchildren, whenever they can spare the time. She watches the sunsets over the lake and thinks about everything she's experienced. The highs and the lows, the victories and the defeats, the loves gained and lost. It has been a good life, a meaningful life. She has no regrets. She is not afraid of death. Not anymore. She has lived a full life, a meaningful life. She has seen her children grow into heroes. She has watched the galaxy she fought for finally find peace. She has held her grandchildren in her arms and told them stories of hope and courage. She has loved and lost and loved again. There is nothing left undone, no regrets that she cannot live with. When her time comes, she is ready. Padmé Amidala dies peacefully in her sleep, surrounded by her family. Luke holds one hand, Leia the other. Han stands nearby with his arm around his son. Outside, the sun is setting over the lake, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. She is 107 years old, having outlived everyone who knew her as young queen on Naboo. The galaxy mourns her passing, celebrating her as one of the founders of the New Republic, a hero who never stopped fighting for what was right. Holonet broadcasts show highlights of her life. The teenage queen who stood up to the Trade Federation, the senator who championed democracy, the rebel leader who helped bring down an empire. Schools are named after her. Statues are erected. her story becomes legend. But for those who knew her best, she was something more. A mother, a leader, a friend, a woman who refused to give up even when everything seemed lost. In death, she is reunited with those who went before. Obi-Wan and Yoda, the Jedi who guarded her children. Bail Organa, the friend who kept her secret. And Anakin, finally free of the darkness that consumed him. They stand together in the Force, watching over the galaxy they helped to save. The story is over, but the legacy endures. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.